In 1970s Britain, the era was defined by vinyl records, smoky pubs, corner shops filled with sweets, and television jingles that stuck in your head for weeks. It was also a time when junk food truly exploded: crisps in bright packets, chocolate bars with cartoon mascots, and fizzy drinks bubbling with color and energy. Parents frequently shook their heads, warning kids that these treats would rot their teeth, ruin their health, and send them bouncing off the walls. But what if not all of it was bad? Hidden beneath the sugar and salt, some of these so-called junk foods carried surprising benefits: nutrients, energy, and even ingredients that were better than what came later. This journey takes us back to the colorful world of 1970s Britain to rediscover the crisps, sweets, chocolate bars, and fizzy drinks that parents once feared but that science now shows had a secret side. This is not just nostalgia, it's the story of junk foods that weren't quite as junk as we thought. Ask anyone who grew up in the 1970s, and they'll tell you crisps were everywhere: salt and vinegar, cheese and onion, smoky bacon with colorful, cheap, and addictive packets clutched by children on their way home from school or offered beside pints and pubs. Parents complained about empty calories, but many 1970s crisps were made with fewer artificial additives than their modern versions. Back then, crisps were often fried in real animal fat dripping or lardwich. Though shocking today, were natural, stable, and contained vitamins like A and D, unlike modern crisps that use heavily processed vegetable oils that oxidize and harm the body. A typical 1970s crisp might have had just 3 or 4 ingredients: potato, fat, salt, and seasoning, compared to the chemical cocktail of flavor enhancers, artificial colors, and preservatives found on today's shelves. Packets were also smaller, so kids ate less per sitting without noticing, making the junk snack of the 70s gentler on the waistline than today's supersized alternatives. Smith's Crisps, famous for including a little blue packet of salt inside, allowed you to choose how much to sprinkle, giving control over sodium intake, something modern snackers rarely get. While parents frowned at kids munching crisps, those little packets sometimes provided healthier fat, fewer chemicals, and more moderation than the modern versions we consider safe. Chocolate was the beating heart of 1970s junk food, with Cadbury, Rowntree, and Mars dominating shelves with classics like Marathon Now, Snickers, Spangles, and Caramac. Torn into by children with sticky fingers while parents warned that so much sugar would rot their teeth. Many 1970s chocolate bars contained more cocoa solids than today's mass-produced equivalents, offering flavonoids, natural antioxidants that support the heart, reduce inflammation, and even boost mood. Brands like Cadbury used full cream milk and real butterfat, providing calcium and fat-soluble vitamins alongside the sugar rush, unlike modern chocolates that often rely on cheap palm oil fillers, which damage the environment and have been linked to negative health impacts. The 1970s chocolates were purer, avoiding such fillers. Studies suggest that the sugar parents worried about wasn't consumed in the overwhelming quantities it is today, as a marathon bar in the 1970s was smaller and denser, meaning a child ate one, not 5. Even the much-mocked Caramac, with its buttery caramel taste, offered trace amounts of milk proteins and energy, serving as a real source of calories and comfort for post-war children growing up in Britain. Chocolate wasn't just junk, it was energy, micronutrients, and joy wrapped in foil. Fizzy drinks ruled the corner shops of 1970s Britain, with children carrying sticky bottles of Dandelion and Burdock, Tizer cream soda, and Corona fizzy pop drinks that were rebellion, joy, and a sugar-fueled rush in every gulp, though parents warned they'd rot teeth and were nothing but chemicals. Some 1970s fizzy drinks were rooted in tradition, containing ingredients with surprising health benefits. Dandelion and Burdock, stretching back to medieval herbal medicine, was prized for supporting digestion and cleansing the liver, and its bottled version, though sweetened, still carried trace herbal extracts, meaning kids drank something with a centuries-old reputation for wellness. Ginger beer, a staple of British childhood, contained ginger, one of the oldest medicinal roots, known for its anti-nausea, anti-inflammatory, and heart-protective properties, offering more than just fizz. Lucozade, once marketed in glass bottles wrapped in orange cellophane to aid recovery in pharmacies, provided glucose for instant energy, helping people bounce back from illness, and was far simpler and arguably cleaner than today's energy drinks packed with caffeine and artificial stimulants. Bottles were glass, slim, and portioned at 200 to 300 milliliters, a far cry from today's massive 500 milliliters or 2-liter plastic bottles, meaning less drink, less sugar, and less harm. While teachers scolded kids sipping Tizer in the playground, those small, herbal-rooted, simpler drinks may have been kinder to the body than what came later. Sweets defined the 1970s with jars of boiled candy at corner shops, wrappers with bold fonts, and unforgettable jingles, though parents called them pure sugar. Spangles, beloved square fruit-flavored sweets, contained natural fruit flavorings and delivered tiny bursts of vitamin C, something rare in the processed sweets that followed. Sherbet dips, though looking like chemical madness, were made with citric acid and sodium bicarbonate, simple compounds that, in small amounts, aided digestion and mimicked the fizz of natural mineral waters, Cornetto and Wall's ice creams. Unlike many modern versions pumped full of air and palm oil, were denser, creamier, and made with real dairy, providing calcium, fats, and proteins that growing kids needed. Angel Delight, the famous instant dessert powder, while sugary, was fortified with milk proteins once mixed, offering calcium and vitamins in every wobbly spoonful. The Curly Whirly, long, chewy, and sticky, was sugar-packed but consumed slowly, due to its texture, leading to fewer sugar spikes compared to today's gulpable soft drinks. Even Space Dust popping candy encouraged kids to drink more water, as the popping sensation was strongest on a wet tongue, indirectly aiding hydration. While dentists shook their heads, some 1970s sweets delivered dairy, vitamins, and better portion control than the neon-colored, artificially enhanced candies of today. By the late 1970s and into the 1980s, Britain was changing. Corner shops with jars of sweets were replaced by larger supermarkets, and pub culture with crisps and peanuts was overshadowed by flashy American imports. As advertising grew slicker and television more powerful, junk food took on a new meaning. Health campaigns dominated, with dentists warning of tooth decay, doctors cautioning against obesity and heart disease, and schools introducing lessons on healthy eating, painting the snacks of an entire childhood as villains. Ironically, 1970s snacks were often simpler, smaller, and more natural than the healthier, ultra-processed replacements that followed. Crisps, once fried in natural fats with 3 or 4 ingredients, were reformulated with processed oils, chemical flavor enhancers, and colorings. Chocolate downsized cocoa content and was pumped full of palm oil and emulsifiers, losing much of its flavonoid richness. Fizzy drinks swapped small glass bottles for giant plastic ones, encouraging overconsumption. Ice creams replaced real cream with vegetable fats and additives to cut costs and extend shelf life. The real food elements, dairy, natural fats, and herbal traces disappeared, leaving cheaper, more artificial, and often more damaging products. Yet, those who grew up in the 1970s never forgot Spangles. Marathon bars or Tizer in glass bottles light up their eyes, evoking not just flavors but the feeling of after-school walks to the corner shop, the crinkle of a crisp packet in the cinema, and sticky hands splitting a marathon bar with a friend. It wasn't just food, it was culture and identity. The lost junk foods of 1970s Britain teach us that the past wasn't as reckless as it seemed. The junk of that era might actually be healthier than today's ultra-processed snacks. Food is never just about ingredients, it's about memory, community, and the little rituals that make life sweet. The crisps with their blue salt packets, the chocolate that tasted of cocoa and cream, the fizzy pop with herbal roots, and the ice creams with real dairy are gone or changed beyond recognition. But the memory remains, and in that memory, we taste the truth Britain's so-called junk foods of the 1970s were, in their own surprising way, secretly good for you.